the most underrated slasher of the early 2000s. In 2009, the writer for other popular horrors like Saw, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and something called the Feast Trilogy. I'm not sure if the Feast Trilogy was actually popular, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Patrick Melton wrote 2 films by the name of The Collector, and later in 2012 he wrote The Collection. While the Saw films already had widespread notoriety, The Collector seems to have gone mostly unnoticed. Now, before I go any further, I want to take this chance to say, spoiler alert, okay? Both of these movies, The Collector and The Collection, are free to pirate all over the internet, okay? You can literally watch The Collector fully on YouTube with no interruptions. It's been on there for like 5 years. I have no idea how it's still up. But just a heads up, I'm going to have a ton of spoilers in here, so if you want to go watch the movies, which you should, go do that now. Alright. The first film, The Collector, is a home invasion kind of slasher film. We follow the protagonist Arkin as he works as a contractor for a wealthy family's home renovations. Little do they know he's actually using the job as a contractor to case their house for a robbery. That is, until the time comes to actually rob them, and the house has been entirely booby-trapped. He finds the father and the mother being tortured in the basement and does his best to help them escape. In the process, he hides from the Collector and later discovers the family's youngest daughter hiding in her room. The rest of the film is spent on Arkin doing his best to save the little girl, and in the ending of the version of the movie most people are familiar with, he's successful in saving the little girl. However, during my research for this movie, I actually found out there was a version released in some parts of the world where Arkin abandons the little girl. In the scene where he's looking back at the window and she's like banging on the window for help, he just turns around and says fuck it and leaves. Well, I think that's really funny. It makes absolutely no sense considering the second movie. In the second film, The Collection takes place exactly where the first one ends. Arkin, now a part of The Collection, is used as bait for the Collector to take his next victim. We watch the Collector once again set up an elaborate trap for a party in a shady back alley rave type deal. He ends up capturing the daughter of some other wealthy family while Arkin manages to escape his clutches this time. The father of the girl who's captured hires a mercenary team of tough guys to hunt down the Collector and save his daughter, and they end up blackmailing / kind of forcing Arkin to assist them in outsmarting the Collector since he's the only one who's survived through his traps and kind of knows what to expect. However, they don't really listen to his warning about most of the Collector's traps, and the whole movie is spent on the mercenary group trying to escape the Collector's giant crack house after they realize they bit off more than they can chew. This movie actually ends on a positive note where the Collector is hunted down by Arkin after they burn down his trap house, and supposedly they're going to torture and kill him or something. It sounds like they don't have anything good in store for the Collector. Now that covers the 2 movies that are out, but there is talk of a third. At first there was talk that it had been postponed due to COVID complications, but it has been revealed in an interview with Marcus Dunstans that a major factor in the film being stuck was the rights to the Collector. With that being said, the complications have been resolved and supposedly the movie is back on track to release as early as 2026. This script was actually written in 2025, so Happy New Year. Marcus Dunstans' full comment on the matter is as follows. As of about 4 days ago, the legal elements holding it back were alleviated, and it is coming back. So when it comes to the third films, it sounds like we're in good hands. So The Collector was theatrically released by Freestyle Releasing on July 31st, 2009. The film debuted with $3.6 million from 1,300 theaters in its opening weekend, and it made $1.3 million in its second weekend. The Collector ultimately finished its domestic run with $7.7 million, and I'm no movie expert, but from what I can gather off Google, a movie has to gross about twice its budget to break even, so good, not great. Now, money and numbers aside, what did critics have to say? Rotten Tomatoes reported that 29% of 76 critics were positive with an average rating of 4.3 out of 10. As we all know, Rotten Tomato critics are extremely reliable. The site critics' consensus reads, increasingly tedious displays of gore makes this torture porn home invasion horror more pragmatic than provocative. And to that I will say, shut up, bitch! Clay Ken of BET Black Entertainment Television said, you will squirm, but aren't we getting a bit desensitized to these routine torture flicks? It's like seeing a pop songstress get naked for the billionth time. Yeah, she's hot, but we've all seen it before. And to that one I can say fair enough. Bloody Disgusting gave the film a 3.5 out of 5 and wrote, "The Collector is a raw, gritty, and uncompromising horror film that puts previous Saw films to shame." The reviewer also believed that the character The Collector had the potential to be a new horror icon. So with all this in mind, why did this movie fall by the wayside? According to theater performance and critic reviews, it was no more than an early 2000s torture porn Saw wannabe, but that wouldn't explain the massive cult following the films have. My opinion? It was simply overlooked. Like the reviewer from Black Entertainment Television said, aren't we getting a bit desensitized to these routine torture flicks? The early 2000s were somewhat of a renaissance era in gore and flashy horror. I think if The Collector had made his appearance at any other period of time, he would have been a hit, much like in the way Art the Clown was. The character looks and acts in a way that isn't really seen in most 2000s horror. His design is basic but haunting, reminiscent of Mr. Cruel mixed with kind of a gimp mask look. His motivations were a breath of fresh air in a time where every single horror villain needed a reason to do what they did, some sort of justification. The Collector did it for the love of the game, and the cherry on top was the overwhelming brutality of both films. Like Saw on steroids, corpses were strewn about in artistic displays, cracked out meth zombies, and on top of that there was a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome peppered in. And this isn't even mentioning his unconventional methods. When I said Saw on steroids, I wasn't exaggerating. This dude builds stuff that puts the Squidward killing machine to shame. He uses knives, bait, traps, guns, German shepherds, crackheads, Fortnite spike traps, bombs, and like a million other things. Now, my understanding has always been that the two movies were beyond niche, so when I put my cosplay together, I could have never imagined the amount of people who knew exactly who I was right off the bat. That was the nail in the coffin that told me I needed to make a video glazing the movies because they are wildly underrated, and more people need to watch them. So, whether you are here for the cosplay or if you're genuinely interested in the Collector series, I appreciate the time you're taking to listen to me blab about it. Make sure to show The Collected the love I'm sure it deserves when it finally comes out, and force your friends and family to watch The Collector and the collection in the meantime. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. On a side note, let me know if this is a series you guys would be a little bit more interested in seeing, where I wear the cosplay of the character while talking about them. I was just kind of thinking that as I was doing this video, like it'd be funny if I wore the Collector cosplay as I talked about his movies, but I would be thrilled to do that with other characters. So if that's something you guys think you'd like to see, give me a holler, because I'd be more than happy to do it. Anyways, see you later.